Rumors of a Dodgers demise appear to be greatly exaggerated. Today, we're also going to try to break down and simplify the head coaching search for the Lakers. And by the way, if the Sparks lose in an empty gym, does it even count? These are the existential questions that boggle my mind at 2 a.m. in the Denver International Airport. Hi, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. It is May 18th, and this is my first year anniversary. And instead of being with my extremely attractive, very patient, and frankly very younger wife, I'm stuck in an airport because I have to make extra money to keep the things afloat in Joe Biden's America. It is what it is. But I have to tell you, while I'm annoyed about that, depressed about that, I am excited over the fact that we added new subscribers yesterday. So, if you like the content that we've been putting out for the last 3 months, clickety-clack the like button, clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. Because after all, we put out a new video between 9 and 10 a.m. every day to let you know it's there. Sharing is caring, let people know we exist, and yes, comments. I ain't perfect. I get it. So before we get to the main topic of the Lakers coaching search, let's go through the scores. Let's go through the notes across LA. Now, yesterday, the Dodgers swept the doubleheader from the Arizona Diamondbacks. First game, they hit 4 home runs. They win 7-6. Nightcap, even more offense. They wind up winning 12-3. Here's the thing with the Dodgers. We were all talking over during the weekend about, oh my God, the wheels are coming off the cart. Oh, really? Because now they have a 4-game winning streak. They're by themselves in first place, and the record is 24-12. Are things really that bad? I don't think so. Tyler Anderson got the win in one of the games. He improves to 4-0, 7 strikeouts in 7 innings. Relief pitcher Mitch White, he gets the win in the nightcap. Dodgers transactions, by the way, David Price is active. He is off the COVID list. Blake Trinan moves to the 60-day injured list. And relief pitcher Tommy Conley, he's getting an MRI today. He has pain in his right forearm. There's inflammation there. By the way, the WNBA, Minnesota 87, the Sparks 84. Sparks are on a 3-game winning streak. But would you know? Only 4,700 people went to Crypto.com arena. Nickelback draws more. What are you doing? 4,700 people? Minor league baseball draws more than that. Arena football would draw more than that. I don't want to be the guy who just automatically insults women's sports. That's not my point. And they lost on a layup. The Sparks lost on a layup at the end of the game. How do you give up a layup at the end of the game? A 3-pointer, a buzzer beater, a dunk? Yeah, a layup? By the way, in today's action, Arizona will play the Dodgers again, the finale of the 4-game set. That game is at 1. It is Galaxy game day. They will play Minnesota United at 5 p.m. and LAFC is going to play Austin at 7:30. If you're curious about the NBA draft lottery, just because you want to see how much the Lakers lost by trading away their draft picks for Anthony Davis, know this. It's only the number 8 pick going to New Orleans. It's not that big a deal. I mentioned the Galaxy and LAFC earlier. There's a report that was released by the MLS Players Association. The Galaxy have the 2nd highest payroll in MLS. That's $20.5 million. Also, Chicharito is the number 2 highest paid player. He gets about $6 million. That shouldn't piss you off. But I'll tell you something that should piss you off. The Galaxy have 3 millionaires on the roster, including Kevin Cabral, getting paid $1.6 million for a pleasant afternoon jog, 1 weekend at a time. The guy's been on the pitch for 620 minutes, 0 goals, 0 assists. Merciful God. By the way, over at LAFC, they are the 11th ranked team in terms of payroll. They're at $14.5 million. Carlos Vela, he gets $4 million. The Chargers have added an offensive lineman, guard Zach Bailey. They grabbed him off the waiver wire. He was released by the Washington Commanders. He's also played for the Vikings and the Bucks. I can't imagine much of an impact. Also, UCLA basketball. Jules Bernard, he was invited to play in a couple of scrimmages to impress NBA scouts, hopefully to get invited, improve his draft stock. He scored an average of 17 points in the 2 games, and unfortunately nobody was impressed. He was not selected to go to the NBA draft combine. But he does not have an agent, which means that the door is open for a return to UCLA, which is possible. What do you say we talk about the Lakers? The problem that I've had with reading all the stories about the Lakers coaching search is that it's all over the map, right? There's a bunch of idiot bloggers with their big predictions. These are the same guys who are saying that they're going to trade LeBron James, Anthony Davis. There's all kinds of crazy stories going about. So you can't really, and don't get me wrong, I have my own idiot opinions as well. But these Laker coaching stories are all over the map. And I've read dozens of them tonight. Oh, the Lakers, they're about to give a rookie his shot at being a head coach. Oh, no. The Lakers, they're going to give Mark Jackson his second chance at coaching after all those years, doing broadcasting for ESPN. And then Lord knows why, but Bill Plaschke and the LA Times are still banging the drum for Doc Rivers, even though he's already has a job in Philly. Why are you guys doing that? Doc Rivers has a job, and Doc Rivers also used to coach for the Celtics, and you guys are trying to tell me that that's the ideal fit for the Lakers, a former Celtics coach. See, the Lakers coaching searches, the last couple of them, have been kind of drama-filled. If you think about it, they kind of lucked out when they got Frank Vogel in the last one. He wasn't their ideal choice. They were impressed with Monty Williams, they were impressed with Tyronn Lue, but they lowballed both of them, and so Monty Williams goes to the Suns, and he winds up making a name for himself, and Tyronn Lue already won a title with Cleveland. So they kind of lucked out with Frank Vogel. So with all these dozens of stories coming out, I'm going to start off by telling you what I believe. Then I'm going to break down the people who I think are in the running. And then I'm going to try to rank who I think the Lakers want most. Fair? It's not a prediction, it's just a ranking. The only thing that I know for certain is that the Lakers are going to want to have their coach in place before draft day, which is June 23rd. The reason they want to have their coach in before the draft, even though they don't have a first round selection, is because the free agency period starts 1 week later. You have to have your coach in before you start adding players to the roster. You need to know what the philosophy that the team's going to play as. Okay? So definitely before June 23rd. I also think, from virtually everything I've read, there is a consistency. I think the Lakers do want a coach that currently has a job, but I don't think it's Doc Rivers. I think it's Quinn Snyder of the Utah Jazz. There's a bunch of reasons. Quinn Snyder excels at coaching both offense and defense. So he's not a defensive mastermind like Frank Vogel, and he's not a total offensive mastermind like other coaches. He does both well. He's also worked under both Mike Krzyzewski and Greg Popovich. And if you watch Utah basketball, the Jazz rely a lot on the pick and roll, and that is just going to be music to the ears of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook. Having said that, Quinn Snyder's offense, while it might utilize the pick and roll, also utilizes the outside shot. In other words, where to look to see an open shot when the pick and roll doesn't work. So they like him a lot. And also he's a former Lakers assistant. But of course, herein lies the rub. Utah hasn't fired him yet. Oh, they might. There's been talk of change coming from the Jazz because they keep getting bounced in the playoffs, but they haven't fired him yet. So there is a possibility that they're just waiting. Now, two guys that they have interviewed are both Bucks assistant coaches, Darwin Ham and Charles Lee. Now, if I were to wager between the two of them, I would put the money on Ham. The reason is because he's a former Lakers assistant. He's worked under Popovich. He's worked under Mike Budenholzer, Budenholzer has a coaching tree, much like Sean McVay with the Rams. A lot of people that work under Budenholzer wind up getting coaching jobs. Just ask the Memphis Grizzlies. Terry Stotz, the former Portland coach, has been mentioned in connection with the Lakers job, but I haven't heard about him getting an interview, and to be frank, it just doesn't move me at all. You want a departure from Frank Vogel. If that's their argument, I get that. But Terry Stotz teaches no defense whatsoever. It's all about offense with him. So you're going to tell me that the Lakers are going to go from one extreme with Frank Vogel to another extreme with Terry Stotz? That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't compute. They did interview Kenny Atkinson of the Golden State Warriors, and from what I've understood, he can teach, and he does have the guts to lay down the law with superstar players. But there's a big difference between a lot of superstar players and LeBron James. Let's be real, LeBron James literally thinks he walks on water. That is a big ask for a rookie head coach, no matter how much gumption you have. Adrian Griffin, who is a Toronto assistant, and he also was granted a chance to interview for the job. Now, from what I've read about him, I like him. I do. He worked in Toronto for the time that the Raptors won it all. And we mentioned a few moments ago about trying to deal with the controversy, trying to deal with LeBron James and how much how much the whole universe seems to revolve around LeBron. You don't think working with Kawhi Leonard is a good warm-up for that? You don't think Kawhi Leonard has an ego, that he calls his own shots? Of course he does. So, and you could say that, you could make the argument that Adrian Griffin got the most out of Kawhi Leonard because he hasn't done the same with the Clippers. Now, the other thing that we know about Adrian Griffin is that he's apparently Mr. Positive, and the players really respond to that. There's two other guys I want to bring up. I've talked up Scott Brooks in prior clips as a guy who might be able to get something out of Russell Westbrook, right? After all, he was able to do it in Oklahoma City, my apologies. But would he come to LA? First of all, he hasn't been interviewed. And he also snubbed the Lakers last year. He was offered an assistant coaching job. He turned it down for more money, went somewhere else. And then there's Mark Jackson, who did get an interview. And he used to coach the Golden State Warriors, but he coached the Golden State Warriors before Steve Kerr came in and made them world beaters. The problem that I have with Mark Jackson, it's way too much isolation and offense. One player taking on five. And granted, that might resonate with LeBron and Russell Westbrook, but I don't think it's winning a basketball strategy. So where would I rank these guys? Well, if it were me, I would start with Snyder, then Ham, Griffin, Scott Brooks, but again, Brooks hasn't even had an interview, Atkinson, Mark Jackson, and then finally Lee, the second Bucks assistant. But you tell me what you think. See, all I'm trying to do is simplify the arguments that all these other bloggers have been making. I'm not saying I know it's going to be Quinn Snyder, but those are my rankings. Now, if you enjoyed today's broadcast, then by all means, like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. Look forward to having you. My name is James. Thank you very much for watching. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Cortel Queso production. Have a good morning.